We have made it to the final portion of the offseason here in year number 4 of the Golden State Warriors, MyNBA franchise here on NBA 2K25. We've got free agency. With the draft now wrapped up, this is our final opportunity to get our roster set for this upcoming season. The draft was very exciting with big-time trades, multiple All-Stars on the move, and plenty of surprises on draft night. Jalen Brunson to the Sixers, Jaren Jackson to the Rockets, Trae Young to the Mavericks, Donovan Mitchell to the Lakers, Mark Williams to the Magic, Scoot Henderson to the Wizards. As for the draft itself, the expected number 1 pick, CeCe Cunningham, did go number 1. He goes to the Montreal Huskies. Arvon Jackson, number 2. Rakai Stewart, number 3. The Hornets traded up for number 4 and number 5, while the Nets had the first, maybe surprise pick of the draft, passing on Marlon Boston for Marcus Evans. And Boston took a free fall, going all the way to number 12, where he got drafted by the Mavericks. As for us, we traded up 3 spots from number 20 to number 17, adding Ramon Hodge from Michigan State. And then we got 2 second-rounders in that deal. I was really hoping to pick Kolai Jaluchonis, who ended up going in the first round of the Celtics, but instead we ended up with Romero Birkin, who is a 76 overall, as the highest-rated player in the second round, along with Louis Delmar, a raw but very gifted defensive prospect out of Duke. Through the first 3 seasons of the series, we had only drafted 4 players, none of which were picked higher than number 18 overall. So this was certainly our most active draft in terms of adding new players, maybe not in terms of making a big move when we traded up for both Roman Loggins-Burl and Kajai Stokes back-to-back. But I really like Ramon Hodge. I think he's going to be a good 3-and-D guy for us. If his consistency as a jump shooter can improve, I think he'll be a valuable piece for us right away. Romero Birkin is undersized, but he is a bucket. He can play on and off the ball, and I think he's a gritty, tough defender with a high motor. As for Delmar, I don't think he's going to play a lot early outside of being a defensive specialist, but he's one of the few guys in this class who can really guard the 1 through the 5. His offense is just really not far along at all. So let's now get set for free agency. We'll start with team and player options. We have 4 team options for the 4 players we've drafted in this series. Loggins-Burl, Salis, Stokes, and Aldridge. Not really much of a decision here. We're going to say yes for all of them. Across the league, Kawhi Leonard and Jalen Green are the most notable players to decline. Not a lot of super good players here. It's not a particularly stacked free agency class. Last year we had Jokic and Giannis. This year, not as much, which is fine because most of our core is under contract. D'Angelo Russell, Jacoby Walter, and Austin Reeves are free agents. Walter is restricted. He's probably the number 1 priority of this group. I think depending on the price, we would certainly like to bring him back. But I think for free agency itself, we're not really looking to make a splash because we don't have the money for it. And there aren't many guys to take a splash on to begin with. Devin Booker's going to go back to the Nets. They just won a title. He's not going to leave. Ja Morant, he's the big fish in this class because he's the only needle-moving player who I think could switch teams. There are a lot of good players who we can theoretically afford. And as I look at what this roster needs, I think it's clear we've got to add more size. Once Evan Mobley got injured in the playoffs last year, I knew we were dead men walking. And we would not be able to match up with San Antonio. We need another guy who can be a rim protector behind Evan Mobley in the case that, knock on wood, he gets injured. I think we're in a good spot at guard with the addition of Romero Birkin. Maybe we want to add another wing, but with Leonard Miller back, with the addition of Ramon Hodge, I think we need to add another true big. Jabari Springer isn't really a big to me. He's more of a point forward. Evan Mobley's our only big. While we spin, we have to be mindful about a possible extension for Jacoby Walter, who I don't think played very well for us after the trade deadline, but I like his skill set. I think we can right the ship with him. He's only 23 years old. So in terms of the bigs, there was one name who I think really makes a lot of sense here at the 5. Tristan Vukcevic, I thought about a little bit after what he did against Victor Wembanyama in Game 7 of the Finals, but we're going to go in a different direction, and it's a guy we know very well. It's Adem Bona. I never wanted to trade Adem Bona to begin with, but when we got the chance to get Evan Mobley, what am I going to do? Say no to that? Bona's a guy who I still always viewed as a long-term piece for us. After the trade deadline, his offensive averages went up, but his efficiency went down. I think he's best fit in our system. I think he wants to come back, and he's exactly what we need. And at an affordable price, why not? Why not bring a guy back who's already familiar with the system, who's already happy to play here? A 1-year deal for Adem Bona with a player option for the 2nd year, and he says yes. The Raging Bona is back in Golden State. I missed having him on the team. He was a guy who it seemed like you guys really seemed to enjoy, and now he will return. So with the addition of Adem Bona, we don't really have that much flexibility remaining, which is fine because I don't really know who else we would want. So we did not make any other offers in the early portion of moratorium. We do need to add some veterans, though. Evan Mobley is the oldest player on the team at 27. Nobody else is above the age of 25. The guy who I like is Peyton Pritchard, who just had a rough year in Montreal, but I think playing for maybe not the worst team ever would probably do him well. I think he's a guy who can mentor a younger player like Romero Birkin, can play above Birkin early on, and then maybe Birkin takes his spot. We're also going to offer Jacoby Walter a 3-year deal, and both guys say yes. So Walter returns. Peyton Pritchard joins the fold. He'll take over the D'Angelo Russell role, and hopefully he won't shoot us out of playoff games like D'Lo. So as we go through the rest of the free agency, I do want to preface that this game's logic is a little broken, because you have a guy like Rob Dillingham, who's a really important piece for a Minnesota team who just made the conference finals. They renounced his rights, and they didn't sign anybody else over him. Why would Minnesota do that? There's no logic behind it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send Rob Dillingham back to Minnesota, because obviously they would give him that extension, and we're going to give Montreal somebody else, given that they have plenty of money to spend. I think they ended up with Gigi Jackson instead, which is still a nice addition. Devin Booker goes back to the Nets, obviously. I mean, he just won the Finals MVP here. Why would he leave? The Nets, for the most part, are going to run it back, although they do have the big addition with Marcus Evans, the 6th overall pick. Ja Morant will be joining him, but not in Brooklyn. He's going to the Knicks. This is an interesting one because, well, the Knicks looked like they were going to tank. Well, not exactly. The Knicks are not rebuilding. They are reloading. They decided to shuffle the deck, trade away Jalen Brunson and Jaren Jackson, add some draft picks, and they're going to use some of the assets they got to add a second star for this roster. Given that the Knicks don't have their own pick, they figure it's not worth tanking. So instead, they convinced Ja Morant. Apparently, Ja Morant has a buddy coming with him. Stay tuned. Kawhi Leonard goes to Detroit. I think that's a really good fit for him. Zion back on the Lakers. Jalen Green back to Toronto. Darius Garland to the Celtics. Stephon Castle gets a bag from the Mavericks. Andrew Nembhard leaves Indiana for the Raptors. That's a really nice addition for Toronto and a big loss for Indy. Jared McCain to the Cavs. With getting Jalen Brunson and Arvon Jackson, they don't really need a guard. Instead, they're going to sign Bronny James, who's actually turned into kind of a good player. Nikola Jovic to the Knicks is also a weird one because the Knicks had Jovic. They traded him on draft night to Atlanta for the 19th overall pick. The Hawks cut him, and then he signs back with the Knicks. So again, as you can see, the game is broken. I ended up trading him back to Atlanta because why would the Hawks trade him away just to cut him immediately? That doesn't make sense. I think the most important portion of this offseason for us was without a doubt player progression because we kind of already have our group in place, but we probably need one more guy to take a leap into becoming an all-star level player to try to put this team in the position to compete with the Spurs and the Wolves in the Western Conference. And we would have one guy take a big jump, but maybe not the player we would have expected. Kajai Stokes goes up 5. He's now an 85. All of his scoring grades are at least an A-, including an A+ three-point shot. His playmaking is an A- as well. He needs to be more of a combo guard than a 2-guard, in my opinion. So that's really nice to see. Mobley and Kuminga have kind of peaked out at where they're going to be. Salis goes up +1, Loggins-Burrell +2. I always kind of viewed Loggins-Burrell as the high-ceiling player of this group. Definitely not Kajai Stokes. So I'm surprised it was him who got the jump. Both Loggins-Burrell and Salis go down in athleticism. Salis all the way from a B+ to a C+. I guess getting kicked in the kneecap in the playoffs ended up kind of hurting him. Jabari Springer +1. I was hoping we would see more from him, but we do get +3 for Osborne Outeridge as he looks to be a more consistent piece of the rotation. As for some other notable movers across the league, Victor Wembanyama is a 99. He is 4 ratings ahead of anybody. That is scary. Big jump for Everest McLeon. He is a 93. Cyrus Emdent, who the Sixers got in the Tyrese Maxey deal, is an 81. Don't worry, Bulls fans. You got a big jump of your own. Francis Gardner-Jones is now an 85. I don't know if there was any bigger winner than the Celtics. Jaylen Brown went up at 31 years old. Carter Smith went up by 5, the second-year guard from Texas Tech. Dallas Carter +6. I think he's going to be an all-star this year with the Clippers. They signed Zachary Rizache from Atlanta, who had a nice offseason. Speaking of Atlanta, who didn't really need Rizache, they had a great offseason as well. +3 for Barnabas, +5 for Destino, +4 for Kenson, +3 for Stur Jacobs. This team could easily be a top 3 or 4 seed in the East. Jabari Ogabari with a big boost. He gets +5. Shavonte Fitzgerald, the largest boost of anybody in the NBA, +7. What a big three with him, Mitchell, and Zion. Don't get it twisted, though. Fitzgerald is the guy in LA. +3 for Carson Young, +3 for Anthony Black. I said Orlando kind of needed to add one more big scorer, but I think that guy might just be Carson Young, who was a most improved player candidate last year. The Pacers lost some pieces, Andrew Nembhard and Pascal Siakam, but they got some nice boosts. +3 for Keyshawn George, +5 for Weston Weaver. They've been waiting for him to contribute. The Pelicans got some nice boosts. +3 for Fofana, +4 for Tate, +3 for Misi, +4 for Schofield, +3 for Powers, +4 for Galvez. That team should be a lot better. +6 for Baptiste Bisconde in Toronto, +6 for KJ Jeffries in Minnesota. That might be the most complete starting five in the NBA. They have no starter worse than an 86. Jeffries was a former second-round pick as well. What a selection that has ended up being. And then, of course, Kajai Stokes, his +5 is very notable as well. I still don't really think this team has its number one, but Stokes is an 81, was putting up 30 in those last few playoff games last year. Granted, that was because we had nobody else healthy. But that was kind of the first we saw of him as a star, and clearly, from what we're seeing this offseason, that is continuing. All right, let's talk some trades. We'll start with the Celtics and Hornets swapping Keontae George for Shaedon Sharpe with the big jump for Carter Smith. I don't think Boston really needs a guy like Keontae George. And as you'll see in a second, they have another trade planned with a wing. So I think a guy like Shaedon Sharpe would be a better fit for them. Sharpe is lower rated, but I think he's better than Keontae George. Granted, both are solid players in their own right, but George only shot barely 40% from the field last year. I do think the Hornets need to add a point guard, though. They did just trade up for Braxton Lee Carter at number 4, but this way they don't have to rush him into the starting lineup. They can ease him in a little bit. So those two guys are going to swap young stars. The Hornets are going to get a little bit added on for him. But the reason why the Celtics wanted Shaedon Sharpe so much is because they're trading away Jaylen Brown. The Grizzlies are looking to pivot with losing Ja Morant. They want to still have a second star for Mikko Kaponen. And that player will be the former Finals MVP, Jaylen Brown, who's been one of the most efficient two-way forwards in the league over the last few years. Even at 31 years old, he's still getting better. So Kaponen and Brown will pair up nicely in Memphis. They've got a good young nucleus already. Meanwhile, going to Boston will feature Desmond Bane. He's going to give them some good shooting. I think Boston's going to look to re-sign him at the end of the year. Riley Forloin, a guy they really liked, first-rounder last year along with Leonardo Vargas and another first-round pick. Forloin was the selling point, though, for Boston. They are very high on him. Ever since OKC lost in the playoffs to us, I said they're planning on shaking it up. So here it is. Jalen Williams going to the Knicks. Williams is a good player, but he's been inconsistent for them. They're going to add Tari Eason, who's obviously not the offensive player that J-Dub is, but he's more of a consistent role player, can guard a bunch of different positions. They're going to get 3 first-round picks as well, so they can load up on assets. The Knicks, meanwhile, have 2 new stars, with Ja Morant and Jalen Williams looking to put themselves as a playoff team in the Eastern Conference. OKC's not done, though. Chet Holmgren to Atlanta for Rankin Destino, Nitro Rodriguez, Miles Turner, and 2 first-round picks. The Hawks have a lot of good young players. They are on the verge of being a contender in the East, but they need a true franchise player, and they don't really have that right now. Well, now they do with Chet Holmgren, who had a really good season last year with OKC. Great defense, 23.5 points per game. The Thunder are doing this, though, because they feel like Chet Holmgren has disrupted the flow of the offense. Only shot 42% last year. They feel like he's hindering Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who at the end of the day is still their star. Now they need to add some good players in place of losing Chet, and I think they are. The Hawks have Shaedon Barnabas and Rankin Destino as their top 2 players. Both guys are expiring at the end of the year, and both players are very similar. You're not going to extend both of them. Barnabas is a little better, so Destino is expendable. I think he's a good fit with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Nitro Rodriguez, really solid role player. He's going to give them good, tough physical minutes. And then Miles Turner will replace Holmgren as the starting center. He's not as good as Chet, but he's still a good rim protector, and he can still shoot the ball. So OKC loses out on J-Dub. They lose out on Chet. But their roster fits together a little bit more, and they add 5 first-round picks in the process. Atlanta, meanwhile, has a franchise player in Chet. They become one of the top 3 favorites, in my opinion, to win the Eastern Conference this year. And OKC, I think, is better off. Let Shai be Shai, and let all the role players do their jobs, rather than having 3 guys all vying to be the number 1 option. So those are the 2 moves, Boston and OKC really shaking things up. I'm fascinated to see how Atlanta looks moving forward with Chet Holmgren. That's going to be a really fun team. On to Summer League. Why is Stokes, Loggins, Burrell, and Springer here? These were the same three guys who were going for war for us at the end of the playoffs, and now they're playing in the Summer League. They're the highest rated players in the Summer League, so they should kill everybody, theoretically. Ramon Hodge, broken foot. Uh-oh, that's not good. So our first round pick is going to be out for probably the first 2 months of the regular season. Not a great start to his career as we go 2-1. I don't know how we would have lost a game. We did finish with the highest point differential, though, through the Summer League at over 21 a game. Look at these scores. The new shot clock clearly making an impact. Romero Birkin led the team in scoring, although he was a shot chucker. Very inefficient. Loggins Burrell was really good. Springer was really good. Stokes really wasn't. Louis Delmar, though, was impressive. 10 and 11 on good shooting. So of the 3 rookies, he was the only guy who was really impressive. Max Stacy led all scorers here in the Summer League. Braxton Lee Carter in 3rd. Samuel Queen in the top 10. Caden Howard had a really good Summer League, while the rookie Kobe Kapaner led in assists, with Kobe Starling in 4th, although he struggled to score the ball. Big Summer League upcoming and big season for Kobe Starling as he's the new full-time point guard in Memphis. We beat the Cavs here in the first round, although Jabari Springer did not show up. Same guy who dropped 30 in the last 2 playoff games cannot score in a Summer League playoff game. We beat the new look Knicks, 24 for Cliff Cunningham, who I just learned of 2 minutes ago. Deo De Seville, the rookie for the Knicks, leads the way. And then we lose here in the quarterfinals to the Wizards. Max Stacy's been maybe the best player in all of Summer League. Cam McKnight played well, as did Noah Longley. Jabari Springer was hooping, but Romero Birkin shot a tour date. So I think if there's one thing we've learned from the Summer League, Romero Birkin probably is not ready quite yet. The Hornets beat the Jazz in the title game. Braxton Lee Carter is the overall Summer League MVP. Him and Ezi Biamba led the way, while Karaspis Balsavicius led Utah with 28 points. The Jazz did not have Norwin Nobles play in the Summer League because, unlike us, they're actually kind of normal. Actually, no, they're not. It's the Jazz we're talking about. The team who had the worst record in the league 3 years in a row. FIBA friendlies, Canada versus Team US. I love how this Marcus McCollum guy always shows up. He's not a player in our series. I guess we're rooting for Team Canada because they have Leonard Miller. Oh my God, look at the final score. How is that possible? I get the shot clock moved down, but still, what in the 200 points in a 48-minute game? That is absurd. Scotty Barnes led Team USA 32 points in 17 minutes, while 5 additional players had at least 20. The youngsters didn't get any run. Marcus McCollum, 43, 10, and 9. Maybe this guy can just hoop. We've got to get this guy in our league somehow, although that 100 shot tendency helps. Shea played well, Nemhard played well, Zamir Logan was pretty good, even though he's literally not Canadian. Leonard Miller shot 1 for 10, so if there's any reason why Canada lost, it probably is him. The All-Star City is Los Angeles. I feel like every year in this series it's been either LA or San Francisco, but I guess we're going to roll with it. As for the draft class, you guys know the drill. If you want to make a prospect, make sure to go join the Discord. The link is in the description. I will say, though, I don't know how many more full seasons we're going to get through in this series. Obviously, we're closer to the end than the beginning. I don't know what the full plan is after Season 5, whether that's when we go into the long-term sim or if we're going to have another season afterwards. I kind of want to see how this season ends up going. This is what our rotation will look like. Loggins Burrell, I think, is still the best fit for the point. He'll be joined by Stokes, Kuminga, Springer, and Mobley. The same starting 5 we had at the end of last year when we were healthy. Salis will lead the bench along with Bona, Miller, Walter, and Pritchard. And then eventually the rookies hopefully will get in the fold as Birkin improves and Ramon Hodge recovers from his broken foot. So we choose not to make a big move in the offseason. We're going to run it back for the most part. I just didn't really feel like there was a move for us to make. I feel like this team is on the verge. We're the only team in the Western Conference who's given the Spurs a run for their money, and we've done it in each of the last 2 years. We nearly beat them in Season 3. We stayed with them in Season 4, even though we only had 2 healthy players by the end of the series. So if our team can stay healthy in the postseason, I think we can beat just about anybody. So that gets us set for the start of the regular season. We start Season 5 against the new-look Utah Jazz with Trae Young. I think I want to get through the regular season quickly. I'm thinking maybe 4-ish episodes. That way, if we make the playoffs, we got to make it first. But if we do, we'll be able to get back there pretty quickly. And if not, then we can quickly reload for a potential Season 6. That'll wrap up the episode. I know it was a quick one, but usually the free agency ones are kind of quick. We don't have that much to go over. Nonetheless, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and I hope everyone is ready for the start of Season number 5. in the next episode.